The Necromancer of Prycene contains adult content and may not be suitable for children. Parental guidance is suggested. In the world of Turinlay rests an enormous island called Prycene. The nation of Prycene is governed by a king and council, though the real power rests in the hands of 10 cursed immortals, powerful supernatural figures who serve only their self-interests. The land is plagued with black-blooded monsters, corrupt political leaders, and bloodthirsty bandits. And the one man who is willing to stand up to them all just so happens to be an unholy abomination, a summoner of the undead, the Necromancer of Prycene.
Welcome back, my fellow scoundrels, outcasts, and miscreants. Allow me to summarize what's happened thus far. Frank and I made our way to Willow's Bend, a quaint lumber town where we strategically crossed paths with the Advents, a group of aspiring mercenaries looking to make their mark with the Watchers Guild. They took on a quest from Constable Arun, who asked them to rid the highway of bandits. In my efforts to tail them, I met a woman named Anya Esh, a brown-eyed, no-good lying pickpocket, which is rare in Prycene. The brown eyes, I mean. The thief part is not so rare. By the time I had reached the scene of the bandit attack, Anya, along with my money, had disappeared. Suspecting Anya might be in cahoots with the Advents, I continued following the group as they investigated. They found the bandits in an underground cave they used as a hideout. The bandits swore that they hadn't killed any merchants, claiming instead that a monster from the forest was responsible. Not to be taken as fools, the Advents didn't believe them. At least, not until the monster actually showed up and began turning the bandits into minced meat. The battle against the monster was not going very well, so I took some creative liberties with the laws of nature to help even the odds. So here I am, hiding in the shadows, playing the reluctant savior, all so I can keep following the Advents until the Watchers Guild finally recruits them. My name is Charts. I have the ability to reanimate the dead, and I'm on a quest to kill the most powerful man in Prycene. Chapter 3. The Vivified. There's something grotesquely beautiful about the undead saving humans from monsters, a type of grim poetry. Not that I know anything about poetry. I'm a necromancer, not a troubadour. You've heard the stories about the undead, or as I prefer to call them, the Vivified. Folk tales describe the undead as slow-moving, brain-hungry demons, but in my experience, that's mostly nonsense. A Vivified's speed and agility depend on the state of their body. They don't feel pain, but torn muscles are torn muscles, dead or alive. It's simple logic. For example, if the muscles in their legs are torn, then they won't be able to run. That makes sense, right? That's why I try not to raise anyone who's been in the ground for an excessive amount of time or is too mangled. The fresher the corpse, the more athletic the Vivified. And no, they don't eat brains. Well, unless the necromancer that raised them from the dead commands them to, and that's just bizarre. I've never actually met another necromancer, but I assume recalling a soul just to make it eat someone's brains would be an enormous waste of effort and resources, right? I mean, who does that? The Vivified aren't inherently evil. They simply follow their summoner's command. If the necromancer that raised them is an asshole, then the Vivified will probably be commanded to do asshole things. If the necromancer is kind, they'll be kind, even if they look gross while doing so. Regarding these 7 undead merchants, well, I'm the one who raised them, and I commanded them to protect the humans and destroy the monstrosity. Just as the creature lunged for Aurora, 2 of my Vivified burst from the trees, intercepting the attack and slamming it to the ground. 5 other Vivified humans joined the assault, piling onto the beast and pinning it to the ground. The monster thrashed, jaws snapping and claws slashing, but the Vivified were relentless. The ghoulish creature had once hunted and killed these very same humans, and maybe during that first meeting they'd screamed and ran, but they weren't screaming now. No, thanks to their current lack of life, the undead merchants were fearless, deadly, and determined. They threw themselves at the corrupted bear, knocking it to the ground and holding it in place. Noticing the monster was pinned under the dogpile of undead, Cademus shouted for Guval and the other advents, who joined him in the attack. Together, they hacked, stabbed, slashed, and smashed until the beast stopped flailing its enormous limbs. Then, it was all over. Panting from the effort, the advent slowly backed away from the monster to assess the scene. 4 of my Vivified merchants had been slain a second time by the monster, but 3 still stood, placid and unblinking.
What are they?
I think they're the merchants.
That can't be right. The merchants are dead.
I recognize that one. It was the body of the guy that was on top. The one Aurora was worried about burying.
They're undead?
They're abominations.
Cade, what should we do?
Aurora, how is this possible? How did they come back?
I don't know.
That monstrosity we just killed was not normal either.
I agree, it wasn't.
Finch, why do you say?
Blood. It's black ichor.
What does that mean?
Normal creatures don't have black ichor blood. There are only 5 types of blood.
Red, yellow, green, blue, and purple.
None of which are black.
So, it really is a monster.
Abominations. All of them.
Aurora, do you think they're connected? Could the bites from the monster have caused the merchants to return?
I don't know. I suppose it's possible. Given what limited information we have, I believe it's the most likely answer.
Then, why did it take so long for them to return? They've been dead for a couple of days, right?
Maybe there's an incubation period.
Who cares about incubation? How do we kill them?
It looks as if severing the head from the body or damaging the brain does the trick. Those 4 didn't stand up after the fight. And it looks as if they all have major trauma to the skull.
Cade, what do you want us to do?
Kill them all. Also, sever the heads from the bandits. It's better to be cautious.
Cademus punctuated his command by thrusting his longsword through the back of Duval, the only remaining bandit. The trio of advents stood in astonishment, dumbstruck by their leader's unexpected act of violence. With a heavy swing, Cademus brought his razor-sharp blade through the back of the bandit's neck, severing the head from the torso.
Guys, go sever the heads, please.
Yeah,
We're on it, boss.
right.
What? Cade, was that necessary?
Aurora, you know that we shouldn't leave witnesses. Who knows what that bandit would have said about what happened here?
Plus, Cademus told him that he could keep the loot. That's our loot. It's not like the town can pay us. We have to make our money some way.
Those are terrible reasons to kill someone.
Aurora, that man was bitten by the monster. Like I said, it's better to be cautious.
This feels wrong. Did you 3 forget that we're supposed to be the good guys?
No one's forgetting.
You're too soft, girly. You've got to toughen up that stomach of yours if you want to be a mercenary.
That's enough, Finch. Just take care of the bodies. We'll bury them before we leave. Clyde, keep the head of the monster and the bandit leader. Put them in this sack. We will take them back to Willow's Bend.
You got it.
I'm going to check out the cave and see what kind of loot they left us.
Well, now we know what kind of heroes the Advents are. I'd seen enough. My head spun and my stomach twisted with nausea. It wasn't just the brutality of the scene that turned my insides. It was the severed connection to the undead merchants needlessly executed. You see, when the link between a necromancer and their vivified is severed, the necromancer is struck with a wave of vertigo combined with a host of other symptoms, including but not limited to nausea, chest pain, migraines, shortness of breath, fatigue, upset stomach, increased heart rate, and, in extreme cases, death. Okay, maybe that last one is a bit dramatic, but you get the idea. It sucks. I pushed the pain aside and focused on my footing. I needed to get moving if I was going to reach the inn before the Advents.
The Necromancer of Prycene will return after these messages. Hey everyone, if you're enjoying what you're hearing but would prefer to continue listening without ads, we have an option for that. All of our Patreon subscribers get ad-free listening to every show in the Creative Typo Network. If you're interested in becoming a patron and supporting the show and the cast, we invite you to check out our website at www.creativetypo.com, and the link to our Patreon is right there on the front page. All right, back to the show.
Frank followed closely behind me as I trudged through the Heronwich forest, each step sending a dull throb through my temples. My fingertips dug into the sides of my skull, pressing against the pain as if I could squeeze it out of my head. Little white sparks flickered at the edge of my vision, and the rhythmic pulse of a war drum echoed inside my skull. I'd never lost 7 vivified at once, and the initial shock had been blinding. Fortunately, the agony had dulled to a manageable thrum. We made it back to the Spike Tree Highway and then to Willow's Bend without further trouble. By the time we reached the town, night had settled in, and the windows of rustic homes glowed with soft, inviting light. I snuck Frank back into the stables, then headed into the rusted saw, craving a moment of calm. After a quick visit to my room and a change of clothes, I descended to the tavern and ordered a mug of cider to steady my nerves. The sharp, lingering ache in my head had mostly subsided, but I intended to drown any and all lingering effects with alcohol. Earlier that day, Mike the innkeeper informed me that my food and drink were included in the cost of my room, a small mercy considering my coins had recently played a disappearing trick. At least I wouldn't starve for the next few days. I briefly considered drinking until my face turned numb, but after the first sip of cider, I concluded that the effort would take more than a few cups, and I doubted Mike's generosity extended that far. So, with a bit of forced moderation, I nursed my warm cider and scanned the room, noting the few faces. The tavern was livelier than before, with at least 24 fresh patrons. In the back corner, beyond the hearth, a man sat alone. His travel cloak lay draped over his table, and his clothes, a charcoal vest with gold stitching, over a button-up shirt with actual cuffs, were far too fine for a place like Willow's Bend. From across the room, I couldn't make out his features, but I could have sworn he was staring at me. Creepy, right? A group of tipsy townfolk were dicing near the hearth, and Constable Aroon's poker table continued, though they had switched out a couple of players. A young boy walked through the room, righting chairs while collecting used dishes and empty mugs. As he passed, I handed him mine, and then went to the rail for another. Hey, Mike.
Hi there, friend.
My name is Charts.
I apologize. I'm not great with names.
It's not a big deal.
Well, Charts, would you like another cider?
Maybe. Do you have anything a bit stronger?
I have a mulled wine and a nut porter.
Are either of those included in the price of the room?
Not typically, just the cider.
All right.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you 1 mug of the mulled wine on the house.
Really? Thanks.
Don't thank me yet. It's not selling that well. I think I made the batch too sweet.
I still appreciate the offer.
Yeah, no worries.
I see you've got some help this evening.
The kid? Yeah, he helps out sometimes. He'll do the dishes and help clean up after everyone leaves.
Is there anything else you might need help with?
What do you mean?
I may have encountered a bit of misfortune and could use some coin before leaving town.
Misfortune?
I was robbed.
In town? Here? What do they look like?
Now, out on the road, and I could use some money before I leave. I'll need to buy food and supplies, so if you have any work for me, I'd be grateful. I could clean up or do whatever needs doing.
Well, your room includes meals and cider, so you're fine on food for as long as you've paid up. But as for extra coin, I don't have any work to do inside the inn. With that said, you can clean out the stables tomorrow if you don't mind getting a little dirty.
Clean out the stables?
Yeah, between the Advents, Big George's cousins coming to town, and our newest guest, the Watcher, over there, the stables are busier than normal.
That's a Watcher. I couldn't tell from this far away.
Yeah, he drops by from time to time. If those Advents aren't able to handle those bandits, well, he will.
Yeah. Sure.
So if you can clean them out tomorrow, I'll float you a few coins.
Yeah. I can do that.
Are you all right?
I'm going to go back to my table now. As I reclaimed my seat, my mind raced. Finally, a Watcher. I knew following the Advents would lead me to one eventually. The Watchers are the sanctioned mercenaries of Prycene, holding a monopoly on all for-hire combat work. With hundreds of mercs stationed mainly around the cities, it was rare to see a Watcher in a place like Willow's Bend. They usually stuck close to the money, the lordly estates, the wealthy merchants, and the city governors who needed a criminal gang routed or a dangerous suspect caught. Sometimes they took bounty work, but many saw that as beneath them. They liked to maintain their image, and senseless violence was bad for business. The only thing Watchers wouldn't do, no matter the commission, was train non-Watchers to fight. It was a strict rule. Many wealthy lords had offered handsome sums of money to have a Watcher teach their children the ways of combat, but every offer had been refused in one way or another. The only way to be trained by a Watcher was to become one yourself, which required a recruiter invitation. That's why I was following the Advents around the Heron Witch Mountains. They were my best chance to find a recruiter. The guild trains their recruits at an undisclosed location in Prycene. It's rumored that on the day of initiation, the leader of the Watchers Guild, a man known as Torch, would make an appearance to wish the new recruits good fortune. Torch, one of the 10 cursed, is the same man who took everything from me. I was going to find him and destroy him. But that's enough brooding for the moment. I cast another glance at the Watcher. Maybe he was a recruiter, but I doubted it. Mike had mentioned that the Watcher visited Willow's Bend from time to time, which could be for any number of reasons. Maybe he was originally from the area, or perhaps he just liked the quiet of a small town. Whatever the reason, I was going to keep my eye on him. After 2 mugs of cider and a glass of mulled wine, the dull throb in my head had finally faded. Several patrons had drunk their fill and retired for the evening, but there were still plenty of people in the Rusted Saw when the Advents burst back into the tavern.
Hello, my friends from Willow's Bend. I hope you are having a wonderful night in your cups. I come bearing the best of news. We traveled to your town to offer assistance for your bandit troubles, and asked only for your hospitality in return, as is the way for those not yet bound to the Watchers. We swore by the king and council that we would bring those villains to justice, and in less than 1 day, we have not only resolved your bandit problem, but we have saved the entire town from a disaster of monstrous proportions.
Welcome back, Catamus. We are glad to see you're safe, but what are you going on about?
Clyde, would you mind emptying the contents of the sacks onto the constable's table?
I'd be happy to.
You see, Master Mike, we found the bandit leader and attempted to have a civilized conversation with him and his men. The last thing we wanted was unnecessary violence. Despite our best efforts, the bandit menace would not hear of it. Within moments, he exposed himself as a dark sorcerer.
And here are the heads.
For ruin's sake, what is that?
The smaller of the two heads belong to the bandit leader, proof that our task is complete. The second is the severed head of his grotesque creation.
A monster?
Yes, summoned from the depths of the Underrealm.
A real demon, wouldn't you say?
I've never seen anything like it.
When we first approached the bandit camp, we asked the bandit leader to turn himself in and be tried for his crimes. He was not so keen on the idea.
No, he was not.
He commanded his men to attack us. This was something we were prepared for.
Fuck yeah, we were.
What we had not anticipated was that the bandits were only a distraction. Using black magic, the sorcerer called forth the dead merchants, beckoning them to rise from their shallow graves. On the highway, he had killed them in cold blood. Then, from deep in the forest, he summoned them as mindless warriors to carry out his evil will. Soon, we were surrounded by murderous bandits and undead ghouls.
Abominations to nature are what they were.
Through cunning and experience, we dispatched our enemies one by one. The fight was brutal and gory.
But it was necessary to protect the people of Willow's Bend from these vile creatures.
Just as we had cut down the last of our foes, the Dark Sorcerer had one more surprise planned for us.
This big fucker right here.
He summoned this demonic horror from the darkest corners of the forest and set it loose to wreak havoc on the world. We were beaten and exhausted already, but we knew we were the last line of defense for Willow's Bend. So we stood resolute and faced the demon head on.
And by the grace of Rowan, we prevailed.
We took the fucker's head is what we did.
And this beautiful town is once again safe from the monsters that plagued your nightmares and your roads.
Well, I'm not one to speak on behalf of the town, but I will say that this is reason enough to celebrate. Now, who's buying the heroes their first round of drinks?
The only thing that we ask is that should any watchers inquire about the heroes of Willow's Bend, you tell them that the town was saved by the Fated Four.
Oh, widow take me. They gave themselves a nickname. The Fated Four. Could you imagine a more self-important title? That has to be one of the dumbest names for a party I've ever heard. Not only did this Cadamus character completely fabricate what happened with the bandits, but I watched him murder Guval in cold blood. The man was innocent, but they murdered him anyway, and now they're dragging his name through the mud. These aren't heroes. They're just like the bandits they slaughtered. Opportunists. The only difference is that they're still standing. I should have been relieved that they were making a scene. After all, I needed the watchers to notice them, and there just happened to be a watcher present in the tavern. But the ease with which they lied made my skin crawl. I had enough. I grabbed my things and left for my room. The Advents were liars, thieves, and murderers. Heroism, it seemed, was well and truly dead.
Charts is voiced by Josh Allen. Cadamus Sentler is voiced by Dan Stab. Finch is voiced by Taylor Shea. Aurora Kaja is voiced by Elizabeth Phillips. Clyde is voiced by Troy Cram. Mike, the Tavern Keeper, is voiced by Richard Collins. Audio engineering by Adam Culbertson and Richard Collins. Editing by Tisha Zang. Music provided in part by Elizabeth Blakely and written by Nico Rodriguez. The Necromancer of Prycene is a Creative Typo Entertainment production. For more information about this show, our cast, or other shows under Creative Typo, please check out our website at www.creativetypo.com. And thank you for listening. A very special thank you to our executive producers from Patreon, Nick Mead and Patrick T. Arseneault.